All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So Yard Arms out of Durham. How long has the band been together?
About 7 years now. Yeah, we got together late 2017. There was some time off during COVID, and John had fallen off the ladder and broke his elbow. So there were about 2 years there where we didn't do a whole lot. But I feel like 2022 on, we've we've hit our stride a little bit.
All right. And for those out here in the audience, I just wanted to point out that the Yard Arm are very familiar with Oxford because they have played at Tobacco Wood when Tobacco Wood first opened up.
Yeah, we played there. It's like August of 2019. Played a kind of acoustic electric show there, and that was one of our first out of town gigs. Actually, it was up here in Beautiful Oxford.
Got a few rounds of applause.
One or two. Woo! Oxford. Yeah, somebody's making noise behind me. Please stop. All right. And I just found this out, like an hour ago, and I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. I was like, Tobacco Wood beat me to it. All right. But that's cool. All right. So, how did the band actually form and get together?
Well, so John and Palmer and I used to work together in the Chapel Hill City Schools, and so I kind of knew them and knew that they played music. We played music a little bit with one other guy, and then around the same time, JJ and I met through our wives, actually, who met through a Facebook group. So it was kind of, the wives said, "Ooh, our husbands play music and we have kids the same age and we both like to do similar things." And so JJ and I got sort of thrown together on a blind date.
It's like, go play.
They're like, "Go play." And we're like, "Okay."
The only time that has ever worked out historically.
Yeah.
Usually when it's two musicians being put together, one guy plays death metal and the other one plays the bagpipes.
So, I played a couple of times with John and Palmer and said, "Oh, these guys are pretty good." And JJ had some good songs, plays really well, sings well. And so I brought all of us together. And even just from the first practice, things really clicked well. It was just unusual. Like, things clicked well. There's not been any drama, any personality issues, things like that. We're all at a pretty stable point in our lives, so we're not, nobody's moved away yet.
Yeah.
So we've been fortunate.
Nice. And that's great when everybody melts together and everything just comes along naturally. I mean, that's what you want,
Yeah.
You always gotta love that. And I just wanted to point out that John. So last month we had Distortions. Next month we have Narsic. So John works at the same school that Sarah, the bassist for both bands. They both work at the same school.
Yep. Yeah, we've got. There's a lot of musicians in the Chapel Hill, Carborough City Schools teach there. Another guy, Luis Rodriguez, who works with John, is in about 18 different bands around town.
Nice.
Absolute shredder.
Well, I like that. A lot of these people in these bands are working in the school system because these kids are going to come out awesome.
That's right.
Yeah, if that's the case. What inspires your songwriting and the process behind it?
Let you take this one. I've been talking.
What inspires? Just compulsion. I'm constantly thinking, what can I write about? What's interesting me, reading, or what's on the news, or just what's around me in my life. I always want to bring it back to music. So constantly thinking about it.
Yeah, I think for me it's been a lot of, especially recently. I think a lot of songs on our new album, there's a lot of grief in there. I think there's a lot of both of us kind of writing about getting older and maturing and stuff like that. We're both in pretty stable long-term relationships, so there's not a ton of breakup songs in our catalog. It just as writing what and I think I count myself fortunate in that regard. So kind of looking outside to the what's going on in the world around us, and other things in our personal lives.
So let's go ahead and get started with our first songs. You want to do like tell us what song it is and do like a little introduction and tell us about it?
Sure. This one is called Unknown Painter. It's the first track on our latest album. This one is about my uncle, who was a painter, and he passed away when I was like 2 months old. And growing up, there were a lot of his paintings are in our house.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of this connection with him, even though I didn't really know him at all. So just kind of the way that art connects you to other people.
The Yard Arm on Stucky Rotation Studio Session Series. If you're just in case you're just tuning in. All right. Then this is for everybody. What made you want to become a musician? What's the inspiration behind that?
Seemed like a good idea at the time. I don't know, just drawn to it right away. Early age, I would just spin my little Fisher Price record player over and over again. Just always drawn to it. I don't really know.
I had a similar thing with the Fisher Price record player. Although for me, I had these records of like Batman stories. You know, like the '80s ones with like Batman and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. My dad is also a big record collector, and so I grew up with a lot of different music around. We would do road trips. I'm from Michigan originally. We would do road trips coming down south to visit my grandparents, and he had these. He had tapes that he would play that were just like mixtapes that he made from his collection.
Yeah.
As the ones that he had that were like 50s really got to me, like Chuck Berry, Elvis, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Well, my father and grandfather were both musicians, so there's a lot of influence there and a lot of encouragement. They had a lot more talent than I do, though, so I have to work a lot harder than they did.
And now for John.
And John.
Oh, it's like caught.
A little bit of slack here, thanks.
There you go.
Oh, this is awesome. I never get to have a microphone.
We usually don't allow it.
I told so powerful
I told him
right
I'd
now.
get him.
So I actually, I came into music in elementary school. Actually really wanted to play drums from a very young age. And then they already had like 76 drummers in the elementary school band. So they were like, you should play the trumpet. And I was like, okay. So I played trumpet actually all the way through college and actually got a performance degree in trumpet.
Nice.
And got completely burnt out from it. Just ended up like really hating it. And so my trumpet professor at the time was like, you know what, man, maybe just like pack it up for a little while and do something else. And if you want to come back to it, you always can. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and play drums. So I bought myself a little electronic drum kit, started teaching myself how to play drums. And so I really didn't start playing drums until like my, I don't know, mid to late 20s, something like that. So, and then I played for a while and then ended up just taking over a decade off and then started playing again for about 6 months. And that's when I hooked up with these guys.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I hate like in that, and everybody's response to the common denominators, like when you were a kid and stuff, and, kind of like, same way, like with me, like how I got into music. I won't get into it, but I had too much older cousin. I'm like 5, 6 years old. He's like 18. He listens to like Pixies and, Nirvana, Jesus, Mary Chain, stuff like that. And, I'm like, oh, I want to be cool like my older cousins, and just went from there. And then, and throughout, middle school, high school, and just more get deeper into it and stuff like that. And now I've got a 5-year-old who is doing the same, and I'm very happy. And now she gets to go to concerts, and stuff like that. So
I will say, as a man of a certain age, and we don't need to discuss specifics there, but pretty much every time I have to load up for a gig, I'm like, why did I quit playing trumpet again? It's a lot of fun. I love it.
like, it's so much lighter for the gear, Oh, what sets you apart from other artists in your genre?
So we're on a record label / collective called All Y'all Records, which Palmer is wearing the shirt of. And I think there's a pretty wide range of bands in that collective. And I think we kind of fall into alt country, but I feel like we have a little bit more kind of 90s indie rock alt
Yeah.
kind of influences than than just straight ahead, kind of alt country, Jason Isbell kind of stuff.
Yeah, I hear a little bit of everything, like in your music. Like one of my favorite songs is like "The Call," which is one of your earlier works, and like that, and I noticed like I'm like I'll listen to one song, and then listen to the next song, and it kind of sounds like it's like I mean they're both like great. But it's like is this the same dance?
Yes.
Yeah. Which I love.
I think having two songwriters that, JJ and I have a pretty wide array of influences.
Yeah.
And we tend to write separately. Like we haven't really done a co-write per se. So I think that gives us a pretty wide range.
Yeah.
Makes marketing the band a little hard.
Yeah.
No.
Look out.
I don't know.
Well, you just come see us. You'll see what type, what kind of genre.
What do you
we
want?
are, Yeah.
What do you want?
What do you want? We got you. We got
Country
you.
and Western.
Yeah.
What?
Like, oh, you like country? Oh, cool. We got you. Oh, you like Gin Blossoms? Oh, cool. We got you.
We got, yeah.
I hate getting that question. Like, what
Yeah.
kind of music do you guys play?
Like-
I'm always like, good music.
Awesome
I
music.
even throw in like REM because I feel like that captures a lot of like the early weird collegiate,
Yeah.
college rock era, but also they had, stuff with mandolins, and then they also went glam rock, and like we've just condensed that.
Yeah. Or somebody asks you, tell me like all four of us play bagpipes.
Yeah.
Inconsistent times. Be like, you just gotta come see it.
Different time signatures.
Yeah. Right. All right. So we'll jump in with the next song. You want to go ahead and tell us what that is and introduce that for us?
Call. Yeah, since you mentioned it, we'll play the call.
Give me a second to
Ooh.
detune here.
Y'all making my day right now. This is awesome. Have a good day to me.
Okay.
All right.
Ready when you are.
song.
Well, thank you.
That was the first one I ever heard, and I was just like, this band rules.
I sold it.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. So since we'll talk local shop. Since you guys are a local Triangle band, each one of you, what's a not the favorite, what's a favorite? Because I don't want to single out any bands or anything. What's a favorite local band of yours that you dig, that you like?
I mean, Gone Ghost, Charles Latham, Borrow Band, those guys are like, we play with those guys all the time.
Which they're great bands.
Deep Preacher.
Deep Preacher.
Yes.
They've become a little more infrequent
Yeah.
recently, I feel like, but they're still great.
They're great.
Country Cruel is also one to check out. Jack the Radio.
Oh, yeah,
is
Jack.
great.
Of course, some of our punk friends,
Oh, yeah.
Sick, Distortions,
Zealotros.
Zealotros,
Yes.
yeah, our good friend Patrick, is a local musician that is heavily involved in that scene. So.
Patrick's at Zealotros.
Yeah.
I've met Patrick last year actually.
Okay.
Yeah, at the accordion. And gave me a sticker, and I told him what I was doing and stuff, and he was like, "I need to get them up here sometime too." You know, they're
Absolutely.
great.
In fact, JJ played mandolin on one of their songs, Green Night.
Oh, nice. That's the thing I love about like the local scene. It's kind of like it's like a big family. It's like everybody's family. Everybody's helping each other out.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting involved. And it doesn't matter what quote unquote genre you're in or anything. You know, it's everybody supporting everybody else. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See people out. Oh, Brother Kent, that's another. I won't forget those guys. But yeah, I think that has been one of the biggest things for us is just finding that band gang.
Yeah.
And, we go to each other's shows and stuff like that. Even if we're not playing, we try and make it out.
There was an artist. They were supposed to play our festival that I absolutely love. Izzy Rider. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them. Amazing vocals, like, awesome band, and they just disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah. But they're still on streaming service, so you get a chance. Izzy Rider, it's RYDER. Check them out. So what's your favorite song to play live?
What do you like?
I think Richmond is one of my favorites
Yeah.
recently. Richmond 1925, which I get a little theatrical at the end of it. My inner theater kid comes out. The Gall is also one. I always love playing that one.
I like playing the last one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep. The Loud Rippers.
Yeah.
Those are all fun. I really love playing Someday live.
Oh yeah.
That's always such a great song. And I mean that's the thing about both of these guys, and that's one of the reasons why it's so much fun to play in this band, because you don't just have one person writing songs. And a little while ago we were talking about how it's kind of hard to market our band, but it's easy to play in a band like this because you never get bored. Like as a drummer, like I know I'm not playing the same thing for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it's all over the map. But I think there's something about that song for me, just the groove of it, and just like JJ's finger picking on that. Like that's an awesome song to play live too, and it's a lot different than. I mean, I love playing the Burners too. Like I love playing Richmond and Spectators on New Frontier. That's probably one of my favorites. It's a little bit heavier jam, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Richmond is always a good one because we keep it towards the second half of the set, and everybody's all locked in, and the group is always good. Someday is also a very good one because it's an emotional song, and sometimes you'll get like that 1,000-yard stare from the audience members when it's really just clicking for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's always good to see.
I feel like everybody, because of me included, forgets that John's got a mic back there. Because like when I asked the question and John just came out of nowhere, everybody's like, I was like, where was that?
I got you.
I love this so much. Thank you for my microphone too.
You are very welcome.
Don't get used to it.
Well, you can't.
Like, special one-time offer. What musicians and bands like inspire you as the Yard Arm, and even as individuals, what musicians and bands are your inspiration?
Go, you wanna?
I got the chance to see Sturgill Simpson a couple of days ago. It's ridiculous.
I bet. I love it.
That was just one of those shows where, you just get reinvigorated to go back out and play.
Yeah.
Like he just, he hadn't toured in 4 years. He'd been kind of off the map. Then he comes back out and he's just absolutely on fire. It's like, yes, that's
Like his words put said, like that adrenaline in you. You're just like,
yeah,
yes.
just like, yeah, he's got, you could tell he's got the fire.
Yeah, I mean, you wanna go? You go.
I can stall a little for you, JJ. So sort of like a lot of people in this room, I think my musical tastes are kind of all over the map. So I know for me, I always love to listen to drummers that sound like I could maybe sound like at some point. I've always been a big Black Crowes fan because Steve Gorman, their drummer, wrote a great book about the Black Crowes. But I think he's just a phenomenal rock drummer. And just he doesn't play anything super complicated, but it's just all rock solid. And just that's like rock and roll drumming to me. Like I love listening to stuff like that. But also, I get pretty psyched on like Clark Terry and Chet Baker,
Okay.
some other influences too.
Well, a little. That's cool though. You guys are a little all over the place.
I listen to a lot of European power metal. So, there's an album cover that looks like it could be a Dungeons and Dragons manual. That's for me.
Nice. Dude, like that. That doesn't surprise me. It's funny because like John Darnell of Mountain Goats, his favorite genre of music is black metal. Like we were like, so we there's a place in Durham. Well, it's not there anymore actually. It's Sam's Bottle Shop.
Oh yeah.
So they had their 75th birthday. This was a couple years ago, about 7 years ago. And we go, my wife's pregnant with my daughter at the time, and I brought my buddy along with me, and he listens to metal, and that's it. And he was just hanging out. He was like, he's like, I'll go with you guys. So he goes, watch John. It was awesome. So we go up to talk. Actually, we got a picture of my wife and John together, and like my wife's like, can I use it? Like, take a picture, use it for our baby announcement? And he's like, hell yeah, you can. So that was our baby announcement, was my wife and John Darnell. But we like talk to him and stuff, and then my buddy goes to talk to him, and they're over there for like 15, 20 minutes, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And they're the whole time they're sitting there talking about like death metal and like black metal and stuff like that, like and it's surprised, like never judge a book by their cover.
Yeah.
So far in your career, what has been your favorite moment as a musician?
Man. I think our last album release at the Cat's Cradle Backroom was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had just a ton of friends there, other bands that we love, and just was a good feels that night. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be high on the list for me too. I think because especially when we started, we didn't really know anybody in the scene. I mean, other than Patrick from Zealotris, we didn't know anybody, and I didn't know really anything about how to book stuff or how to. We all sort of looked at each other and we're like, okay, so who's going to do the booking? And I was like, I guess I will. So it's like even having that show, I think, was a measure of how far we've come and what we've done the past 7 years.
Yeah, like that's like me, making your stamp on like the local scene, like we're here,
Yeah, the Cat's Cradle back room.
Yes.
We got folks there. It was pretty great.
Cat's Cradle is an amazing venue, home away from home.
Yeah, great sound, great people.
And my brother actually got to see in 91 saw Nirvana there. I'm like, dude, he's a lot older than me, but
Okay.
but yeah, I've seen a lot of killer shows there, like Rilo Kiley, Cold War Kids, Death Cab for Cutie, like you name it, like so many great bands. Cat's Cradle is a great institution, and also I literally a local legendary music club. It's
Yep.
like when I was in high school, I did like library tech or whatever. So there's a bunch of old like Rolling Stone magazines that have been discarded, and I'm just going through reading because there's nothing to do with library tech, and it was like, oh, top 10 historical music clubs in North America, and like number like 8 was Cat's Cradle. I'm like, yes.
So I would say, like for me, that there's probably 2 that stick out, and one of them was our very first show at the Cave in Chapel Hill, because the Cave is such an institution in our scene, and it was just such a cool thing because I didn't really ever see myself doing this other than just as a hobby and in a smallest room in my house where I'm trying not to make too much noise and bother everybody, but. And just they were so receptive to us and like so kind to us, and that really I just remember the bartender at one point, like in between songs, she just went, "You guys are so good."
Yeah.
I was like,
sweet.
They knew it was our first show, and they were very nice.
Yeah. But that was cool. And then I would say probably actually our first show at the Cat's Cradle was during the pandemic. So we did a live stream for the virtual Carver Music Festival from the main room. And I remembered I was terrified. And I was like, okay. I sometimes suffer from a little bit of imposter syndrome, and that was the gig where I was like, all right, John Boy, are you really a drummer? We're gonna find out, because there's cameras all over the place, and anything you mess up is going to be immortalized on the interwebs forever.
It was funny because I had the same thing too, and there's no one there except for the camera guy and the sound guy, and it was still like, oh,
It was
big stage.
super weird, but super cool.
Yeah.
And I just remember that our set went well. It seemed to go well, and it's you can find that video still lives out there. So
It's on our
That was-
YouTube channel.
that was a big one. And I felt like that was like a level up one.
You can see how long my hair and JJ's hair was at the time. That was that COVID hair.
Oh yeah, I had that too.
But no cutting for 8 months, just like scraggly everywhere.
My big moments are actually a little smaller scale because I like rehearsals the most actually.
Okay.
When it's just us 4 in JJ's attic, and the music is all there, and that's all we're focusing on, and I get to hear JJ and Jay Bales play some amazing guitar lines, and John find a way to express through the drums that I couldn't even imagine in a million years. And I think, wow, this is a way better band than I ever thought I was going to be playing with.
Awesome.
That's a great answer.
And shout out to the Cave. Cave is a great venue. Seen a lot of great bands there. Just watch your head when you're there.
Yep.
It's kind of like the record shop I work at. Like the ceilings are a little low.
These are high ceilings.
What's out of all the shows that you played, what do you think is probably like your favorite, the most favorite out of every one you played?
With this band, probably the record release, and then we did a 2-date tour, I call it, up in Michigan this past summer. And my brother and I had a band in Michigan called Flatfoot that they're still going, and I've played with them a few times this year. But we did a show in Lansing that was kind of a homecoming. It was like 4 of us played. I played with Flatfoot. Like, that was just really cool for me.
That's
I'll go with the record release again. That was, fantastic show. Great times. And just the specific moments where we were playing someday, and our friend Brendan from Sugar String Society came up and he played banjo on that song.
Oh, yeah,
It's
oh,
just
nice.
just the moment he started playing, it all kind of came together. It was like a chills moment. So yeah.
Which I'll be seeing that band on November 2nd. By the way, real quick, didn't mean to interrupt. Cat's Cradle, November 2nd. It's an ABL benefit for Asheville. A lot of great bands, include Gongos, Sugar Reese, Drink Society. It's suggested donations. You should go. I'll be there.
Nice.
John?
Probably those couple that I mentioned, but also I would say we've also played some really amazing shows with some of our well, I guess now collective / label mates. But I remember I think playing the Gone Ghosts album release show at the back room because we played with them and with Heat Preacher, and those are two bands that I just love. I love both of those bands and I have tremendous respect for them. They're just totally rad bands, and that was a cool moment too. That was a really cool show.
Paul?
Historically, it was my favorite gig was one of the cave shows that was on Halloween,
Yes.
and we were all in costumes, of course, and we started playing, and everybody who was in the back room came out to the dance floor, and that was nice to see. Going forward, it's going to be this one because this is the only gig so far where I've been able to pick up some video games and Magic the Gathering cards right before I started playing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, you want to get started with our next song?
One of yours, right?
Mine, to Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah. No intros, just straight.
Richmond 1925.
1925. times did he walk out alive? Well, those mausoleum doors fell off their hinge. Coming back to Richmond to take his revenge. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Real quick, just want to give a shout out to She Chose Down and to Oxford Music, where one of my recommended jobs. And I just wanted to let everybody know that we have 200 people listening in right now.
Okay, Granville County
Yeah.
and elsewhere.
All love coming from everywhere, especially the Triangle.
Love it.
Love the local Triangle music scene. I've been like, I would say since I was like 14 years, well, like the bigger bands, yeah, but like the smaller bands and stuff, like since I was 14 years old, like WKNC kind of got me started on that, like all like local. And like, that's like, there's bands out there, like I like Tom Petty, I like, the, emo and like whatever and stuff, but my heart really are the local scene. It's my favorite, and there's so much talent, including the band right here, the Yard Arm, and so many other bands, and all the bands that I've brought on my show. And I just think it's great that we have this accessible here to us and the community, and like it's all family and stuff. And and I met so many great people through this, local music scene over the last 20 years. So I just wanted to, get that out there, say that.
Amen, and thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much for coming. It means so much, and I love that I get to have bring all my favorite local bands to Oxford and share them with everybody else. And hopefully, these people, my friends and people that I invite and stuff like that, share this music with, they're like, I've never heard that band before. That's my new favorite band, or I love that band now, and I didn't know who they were before today. That's what I want the most out, to get out of it, is other people to get something out of it, just like I do. What kind of obstacles do you guys face as a band?
Time.
Yeah.
Time is always against us. Trying to fit everything in. I think, like for me, and I'm sure the other guys probably feel similar, but it's really hard to try and do this at a level that people are going to appreciate and balance everyday life. And I think that gets lost a little bit when you see a local band live. You don't know like what they had to do just to get there to play the gig. So and for me that's a big one. Just trying to find the time to practice and practice myself and practice with the guys, and then when we're trying to record and it's and then and I know Jason does a great job at managing and booking and everything. I can't imagine how annoying that must be, trying to work around all of our schedules and so for me, I mean that's the big one's time.
Especially at our age, it's a lot different.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in our 40s. We've got families, full-time jobs. We try and stay healthy and stuff like that. So balancing all of that, I think, is the big thing. But I think for us at least, like this is really my main kind of social outlet. Is band and going out to see the other bands. Like that's kind of the main way that I see other people at this point.
I have 2 kids, so I feel you.
Yeah, so it's the time, it's working around people's schedules. Luckily, we're all pretty type A and are fairly organized, and that's the only way we can do it.
And the fact that we're all in the same situation helps a lot, I think, as well, because we all understand when you've got to go on a family vacation because that's just what you got to do. You know, we all understand when you got to skip practice because you've got a sick dog or something.
Agreed.
Yes.
What drives your passion as a band?
I think it's having fun and getting to do shows like this. I mean, getting to, meet people and play music for folks that, people have told us that, about how they've connected with our songs and things like that. And it's a nice thing to see and a nice thing to hear.
Agreed. Just like hearing you say that you love that the Gall was just awesome. Man.
Thanks.
It makes my month, when I hear something like that.
You're like, I just met this, this guy, today, and then I'm coming like, yeah, first album, like that's, all screaming, pull out the oldies. What lessons have you gained in your experience, or what is like the greatest lesson that you've learned in your experience as a band?
Probably learned a lot booking, I would say.
In that regard, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to venues and things like that, and you don't hear back, or there's somebody else is playing a show with somebody, and you're like, well, how come I wasn't asked to be on that? It's not personal.
Yeah.
It's not a the venue is a small business that is most of the times just keeping their head above water.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they've got a bunch of different, bands that are hitting them up. Hey, can I play? Hey, can I play? And so if they just happen to miss your email or whatever, it's not personal. It's just kind of the way it is, and try and develop good relationships with other bands and with certain venues. And, at this point, I kind of know who's going to be responsive and, who's not, and kind of move on with it.
It's like, just try again.
Yeah. If you don't hear anything from somebody, try it again in 4 months. Maybe you will, because places do their booking differently. Some places it's like 6 months out. Some places they're looking for somebody 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So you never know.
I guess I would say for me, some of the biggest lessons I've learned is that all of your friends are not going to come to all of your shows, and that's okay,
Yes.
because they got
True.
stuff to do too, especially when a lot of your friends are in other bands. that makes it kind of tough because they're normally playing when you do. But also, I think one thing I've really learned, and it's weird coming from being a sort of a classically trained musician, very sort of a very strict musical upbringing, for lack of a better term. Although it is important to continue to work on your craft and make your music good and practice it and play it well, a lot of times energy makes up for accuracy. So I've used, and I still do, I can be my own worst critic, but sometimes I look back at a show and I'm like, oh man, I didn't really play that well. I missed this and that, and then I talk to people after, and they're like, that was awesome, that was great, So it really just matters to that people are having fun, and I think when you get to play rock and roll music, it's about fun and energy a lot of times. Now it is important to play the right notes and stuff like that, but if you miss one, it's not the end of the world. So.
Oh,
Very similar to John. The big lesson for me is not to sweat the mistakes on stage. I'll flub a note here or there. Sure, I know it. Sure, the audience knows it because I've got exactly zero poker face and I visibly winced. But the song goes on, show goes on, and no one died. So.
Shout out to Susie for the water service. Thank you, Susie.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And Stephanie.
It's like coughing through Richmond.
So you want to go get into the next song?
Someday?
Yeah.
Someday by the Yard Arms.
Someday.
The clouds, I can't hear a word you say, but I promise you this, I'll come back here someday.
The Yard Arms, and Yard Arm is all one word.
Yes.
Follow them on your favorite streaming service. Follow on Instagram. I'm gonna ask one more question, and then I'm gonna get you guys to lead us out. And so, what do you want, or what do you hope that people take away from your music?
I hope they just enjoy it. I hope they have a good time watching us and like the music and appreciate what we're trying to do. And we're not trying to like make a living out of this. We make pennies basically.
Yeah.
But it's just fun. It's just what we love to do. I hope that's what people take
inspire people to make art themselves. You know, if it's not music, then whatever, but just to not be afraid to put your creative vision into the world. Well,
I don't know. I got nothing on that one. I just think as long as I think for me, as long as we have fun doing it, as long as it's still fun, then I'll keep doing it. And it's always nice to make somebody dance. As a drummer, like when I look out and I see people like bouncing around and they get up and start dancing, I'm like, all right, you did your job tonight.
Real quick, where did the name come from?
So my mom is English, and she told me one time she was trying to decide if it was like time to start drinking, basically. So she said, "Oh, the sun's up over the yardarm," which is like the crossbeam on a ship. I guess old English sailors would like see if the sun was up over the yardarm. Start drinking rum, which is like they think 11 a.m. or so.
yeah, North Atlantic, it's pretty early.
Yeah.
Before I get y'all to lead us out here, I just wanted to say, and I want to touch saying, like, if it wasn't for bands like you, I wouldn't be able to do this. And thank you very much to you guys. Thank you for coming. This has been an awesome show. You know, thank you to the local music scene. I'm glad you guys are part of it, and we all get to enjoy this, and I get to bring this to Oxford and then you know, do my show because you know this is like a passion of mine, and you know it's awesome. So thank you very, very much.
It's been so much fun.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem. So what song are you gonna lead us out with?
Oh, we'll do our traditional last song, which is called The Last One. This is one my wife and I had a conversation about, like, if there was a zombie apocalypse, why do people want to survive that so bad? Like, what's the point? So, yeah, this is about, just not surviving the zombie apocalypse. So happy Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, on Wednesday, October 30th, this upcoming Wednesday, we are playing as part of a all y'all Halloween bash at Motorco. We'll be dressed up as The Cure. We're going to do some Cure songs and a few of our originals. So come out for that. That'll be a very special one-time kind of deal. All right, the last one. 1, 2, 3. so much.
Thank you, Yard Arm. This has been this month's studio session series for Second Rotation and Next Door Radio. We appreciate the Yard Arm for coming on. Listen to Second Rotation every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. And next